Are the Middle Eastern brands redefining the luxury fragrance industry? Let's find out. Hi everyone, I'm Jolima and this is my channel Scented Moments, where we discuss everything about fragrances. So in this video, we'll talk about Khadlaj brand. Now, I've been talking about one specific fragrance from Khadlaj that I purchased myself, that I will talk about, called Oud Pure Mystical Indian. And after that, Kajal, actually, they reached out to me and they were interested in doing a collab, and they sent me 3 fragrances for review. So I'll be talking about those 3 fragrances and still talk about Mystical Indian for a bit. And in the second part of this video, I will talk about the Middle Eastern fragrance brands trends, and all the conversations around the fragrance clones or fragrance that are heavily inspired by popular existing fragrances. And I will just share with you my not only my personal experience, but also my opinion with that trend. So with that being said, let's then start it first with reviewing the Khadlaj fragrances. So the first fragrance that Khadlaj very generously sent was this one, Epoque Artistique. And you see, like, beautiful box, beautiful presentation overall, and it opens like so. I mean, simply beautiful. Gorgeous presentation, really. And I was so expecting like a oud fragrance, because I absolutely loved the Mystical Indian. So a fragrance with this presentation, I was expecting something as well within that heavy, funky, animalic, resinous type of scent character, but I couldn't be more wrong. And actually, this one is very disappointing. I mean, you can see that the bottle itself, it's fantastic. It's really heavy. The bottle is really heavy, thick glass. I mean, the cap also has weight into it. I mean, seriously, in terms of presentation, is spot on. Nothing really to complain here. And also very important, the price. So this is in the official Khadlaj website. This goes for $49 US, although you can find this for even a cheaper price in other websites. Actually, I found this at a European website. It was being sold for 27 euros, and this is a 100 ml bottle, I believe so. Yes, it is Eau de Parfum. So, I mean, really very affordable. The thing is that the scent is really disappointing, for me at least. This smells like a sweet shower gel fragrance. I mean, that's basically how this smells like. Now, I can't really pinpoint what exactly smells like, but for me, definitely I get instant image of like a mainstream designer fragrance. Now, again, I can't really pinpoint. It really has that type of, I would say, generic scent DNA, which could be easily like any type of mainstream designer fragrance that is nowadays marketed for men. So it's really just had that sweet shower gel type of feel with some vanilla and tonka bean. So, I mean, it's just really not for me. So in that regard, it was really disappointing. This is an Eau de Parfum. I mean, the performance is great, unfortunately for me. But if you are into this type of scent DNA, I highly advise you to check this one out. But again, this is not for me. The next fragrance that Khadlaj, again, very generously sent was this one, Fursan. I think it's pronounced like that, Fursan. But maybe I'm butchering the name. I mean, really nice presentation. Again, this is a 100 ml, and this is the box where it came. I mean, this is a very simple, definitely more simple than the previous one that I just talked about. So this is a very just simple cardboard box. And what really matters is the scent here. And actually, I really loved this one. Again, this is Eau de Parfum. The price I saw this at a European website, and it was 23 euros for a 100 ml. But I will leave all the links in the description box down below so you can check out. I don't have any commissions here, nor I don't have any discount codes, so it's really just for you to check out if you're interested. And so, talking about this one again, incredibly affordable, 23 euros for a 100 ml. Fursan, I think it's Fursan Brown, I think it's the name, but I will just mention as Fursan. This is very similar to me, and I can definitely point the fragrance that I'm instantly reminded of when I smelled this one. I loved this one actually. This one has a blast of a passion fruit with some incense, some oud, like definitely has like an oud accord in here. I would even say that it has some cypriol in here also. Overall, it's a fantastic scent, also a bit spicy. It's really a fantastic scent, like dark, spicy, smoky, with that tropical, playful, fruity edge with the passion fruit. And I don't know if by my description of the scent, maybe you already guessed what fragrance this kind of resembles to, at least to my nose. It is from Maison Crivelli's Oud Maracuja, which is on my wish list since forever. I mean, it's really a fantastic scent, love at first sniff for me. And this shares that scent style. Now, is it a clone? Maybe, maybe not. It maybe has like some tweaks here and there. I will not say that this is a full-on clone, but I will definitely say that this definitely has that scent character in general. So if you love Oud Maracuja, and Oud Maracuja by Maison Crivelli retails for over 200 euros for 50 ml. It's an extrait, yes, but it's very expensive. Yes, you can find in some online discounters maybe, or Facebook groups and whatnot, maybe for a cheaper price, but still it will always be in at least 3-digit price. And this one, it's 23 euros. Can't go wrong. And it smells amazing. Again, it smells amazing, lasts the whole day. So yes, I'm actually really impressed with this one, although a bit disappointed in the regard that I wanted something more unique, but hey, nonetheless, I mean, you can't really complain when the price is in the 23 euros mark for 100 ml. And yeah, it's done really well. Again, really nice presentation here. The cap also quite heavy, so I would say that in terms of presentation, scent, it's really good, to be honest. And I believe that this will be very, very hyped. So mark my words, I think this one will definitely get a lot of attention in the near future. So this is Fursan by Khadlaj. And last but certainly not least, the last fragrance that Kajal very generously gave to me was this one that, and I'm talking about this for last because it's really the best of the 3 fragrances that I have, and it's actually one that I was really considering to blind buy, and it's this one, Oud Pure Wild Indonesian, this one right here. And as you see, this is very, very similar presentation to the Mystical Indian. Give me 1 second. I have it here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So here, as you see, this is Oud Pure Mystical Indian in this white box, and this is more of a brownish color type of box, but it's very similar presentation. I mean, this is part like of the same line of the Oud Pure line, and there's a difference actually in terms of smell, but I will get there. So this then opens like so. I mean, beautiful, very gorgeous presentation here, as you see, beautiful. And again, very similar to Mystical Indian, which I already talked about, and I showed you also the presentation of the Mystical Indian. And here is the bottle, again, very, very similar to Mystical Indian, which I will show you just for comparison purpose. So as you see, this is Mystical Indian that I bought, and this is Wild Indonesian. There may be some slight color difference, I would say. Sorry about the fingerprints. I would say that there's maybe a difference in color. This one's it's slightly more light than this one, Wild Indonesian, but in the end it's very similar bottles. It's not the same really. And in terms of smell, so you all know, I mean, if you're following the channel for a while, I mean, you know that I absolutely love Mystical Indian. One of my favorite purchases of the year. I mean, hands down. And so I was very curious also to buy this one. So I bought mine Mystical Indian at Notino for 49 euros. And this is, bear in mind, this is a 60 ml and this is the maximum size. 60 ml eau de parfum, and it's an oud fragrance under 50 euros, the Mystical Indian. This one is the same, actually. Now, I don't recall exactly the price tag in Khadlaj official website, but definitely this is a bit more expensive than the previous two that I talk about. This goes more into the 60, 70 US dollars, if I recall correctly. But again, I will leave the link in the description box down below so you can check by yourself. And so this one is also oud, and it's so damn good. This is a natural smelling oud. So this has Indonesian oud and the Mystical Indian has Indian oud, and they are as natural as it can get. It's such a high quality oud fragrance, both the mystical Indian and Wild Indonesian. The difference here is that this one is more animalic and more leathery and a bit more smoky than Mystical Indian. Mystical Indian, while still animalic, it's also more ambery, a bit more resinous, and I dare to say it's a bit more likable, more versatile when compared to this one. This one, I think it's more funky, it's more pungent, it really has more body and more character, and it's more daring overall than when compared with the Mystical Indian. Nonetheless, both are incredibly oud fragrances. I'm an oud lover. I mean, I love oud, and these two are the best oud fragrances for the price. I mean, you cannot find anything better, especially for the price. I mean, for 60 euros, name it, 50 euros. I bought mine Mystical Indian for 49 euros. It's just unbeatable. And this competes, for me, this competes directly with some of the best ouds out there. Amouage, Frédéric Malle. These two fragrances compete with those fragrances. Ajmal as well has amazing oud perfumes, natural smelling oud perfumes. So these two fragrances compete in quality and uniqueness with those oud fragrances from the most popular brands. So yes, I'm really happy with Wild Indonesian. Absolutely stunning fragrance, and I highly advise it for you to check out, especially if you are an oud lover. And of course, also in terms of performance, I mean, both ouds are very long lasting. I mean, at least 8 hours of longevity, and projection is also very good. Leave a nice scent bubble for the first 2 hours. So I mean, it's just heaven, oud heaven. So again, I highly advise it for you to check out both Mystical Indian and Wild Indonesian. It's always I'm always afraid to mix the two fragrances. But now we will be discussing about the Middle Eastern brands in general. Now, I just didn't want it to record a video just talk about Khadlaj, which we already did, but also because I wanted to touch base on this topic overall, because as you see, and if you follow this channel for a while, I mean, you know that I don't talk about clone brands nor Middle Eastern brands that often. I mean, the most popular brands like Armaf, Lataf, and so on. So Afnan. So you know, I'm not talking about them that often at all. So I wanted really to just briefly talk about this trend that it's out there. I mean, nowadays what we see the most is Middle Eastern brands pushing with this aggressive marketing through influencers in several social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, especially these two, YouTube as well. But I would say that TikTok first and Instagram, they really have a lot of marketing in those platforms. And I would say that, in my opinion, I'm not against, I would say right away, I'm not against clone brands nor or fragrances that are heavily inspired by a specific scent, a popular scent, which is usually the case, just because I think they are filling a gap in the market, especially considering nowadays that, I mean, fragrances, the pricing of the fragrances, the retail pricing of the fragrances skyrocketed, especially since, I mean, I believe that there was a big influx of newcomers, new people joining and discovering perfumes. I mean, we're just at home with nothing to do, so I think a lot of people tried to get the new hobby, and many there was definitely a boom even within the YouTube reviewing realm. I think there was really a boom of people that start to be very interested in perfumery. And with that, there's also a boom in price. I mean, if people are searching to buy more fragrances, definitely the price will skyrocket. I mean, it's how the market works. And there is definitely, and then of course with all the international political situation that we are still living to this day, I mean, with inflation and so on. So all of that combined resulted into a skyrocketing price tag of fragrances in general. And I mean, for me, it's mind-blowing how come like a standalone regular mainstream designer fragrance 100 ml can be way over 100 euros, 150 sometimes, especially if it's like elixir now, the trend. If it's elixir, 150, 160, and sometimes it's not even 100 ml. We are talking about already niche pricing, and it's really mind-blowing in that regard. So the same happened with the exclusive designer fragrances. I mean, Chanel, the 200 ml currently goes for 420 euros retail. I remember when they were 300 euros. And there's people that remember them being even less than that. So it's really mind-blowing how the market is currently, the perfume market. And basically any $2, let's say $2 smelling fragrance now at least costs retail 200 euros. And it's really mind-blowing. And of course you have then the niche brands that also have that price tag as well, and year by year they are pumping up the prices, and it's really insane. And I talked about this in my video where we discussed are niche fragrances worth it, so feel free to check that video out. But so this just to say that, and definitely the originality, the uniqueness is not following the price tag, the ever rising price tag. No, it's not, unfortunately. And enter Middle Eastern brands. So this all started, I mean, for context, especially if you are new-ish to the hobby, I've been in this hobby really more serious, let's say, since 2016. By then, we already had here and there from Rassasi. And for example, I have one called La Yucawam Pohom, which is the best clone fragrance ever. For me, currently it smells better than Tuscan Leather. It's really that case that La Yucawam, which was a clone of Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford from the Private Blend, currently the formulation of Tuscan leather, it's really not that great. And with Laocoon is fantastic, but Laocoon was already around for years, even before we were talking about Armaf. So this just to say that there was already, back in 2016, some fragrances, still shy, but some fragrances like inspired by clones, whatever you want to call it, from the Middle East brands that were already here and there copying or heavily inspired by popular scents at that time. And I think the boom started with Club de Nuit Intense Man by Armaf, which is, I mean, nowadays maybe considered the god of the clone market in general, which is a inspired by fragrance from Aventus, Creed Aventus. And everyone went crazy. I mean, that was released, I don't know, maybe I would say 2017, 2018, I would say. But it's definitely around those years. And since then, I think there was definitely a boom in the in this industry that was still shy in 2016. So this just to say that there were already some brands out there, like I mentioned before, but with Club de Nuit definitely there was a boom within this market. And nowadays, I mean, we have Afnan, we have thousands of clones from Armaf. I don't recall all other brands out there, but there's definitely a lot, too many maybe to count, I would even say. So it came to that point. And again, I'm not against it because they're filling a loophole. Because again, the originality, the price tag, it's just starting to be unbearable within the fragrance industry. And these brands, basically what they do is they just give access to luxury items to the person who is not willing to spend over 100 euros, 200, 300 euros on a perfume. And so basically they are just replicating as much as possible that popular scent from Louis Vuitton, the Ombre Nomade, or Baccarat Rouge, or Aventus for 30 euros, for a very small fraction of the price. And usually the scent DNA, it's quite similar. And so, especially for the regular Joe who is not very into fragrances, that is enough. Spending 30 euros or maybe even 60, 70 euros, but in 3 fragrances that smell of very expensive perfumes out there, but for a very small fraction of the price. And in that regard, and also most of the times the presentation also is very eye-catching, very appealing. And so actually from a regular person who just casually uses fragrances, I definitely understand the point of the Middle Eastern brands existing. They definitely fill that hole. And again, just because I don't review them doesn't mean that I find them inferior. It's just because, for me personally, being a frag head, I mean, I love fragrances, and I'm leaning more to the original or the fragrance that started a trend than going with the clone, the typical clone, or typically inspired by fragrance. There's another topic that we can talk about, which is a lot of niche brands out there copy each other. That's another topic that we can talk about, and they also charge, I mean, astronomical amounts when basically that specific fragrance already wants to replicate also a very popular niche brand. And we know the brands who do that. But I just want to focus more on the Middle Eastern brands, just because it's the topic of the video, and because I barely talk about this topic and in the overall inspired by Middle Eastern brands out there. And so I don't find them inferior. Again, me just as a frag head, I just prefer to go with the original than going with the clone. Now, this can come across as pretentious. It's not my purpose, to be honest. It's just really my point of view, just really my mindset, and it's where I'm currently at my fragrance journey. Now, don't get me wrong, when I started, I was buying clones as well. I bought a couple from Rasasi. I still have La Yukoam actually, which I absolutely love. I bought Très Nuit by Armaf, which was also inspired by fragrance by Green Irish Tweed, because it was also like, for me at the time, it was like an entry level type of situation for me, where I was not willing also to spend back then crazy amounts of money in perfume. So for me it was also baby steps, which also happens currently on newcomers, and again, totally fine. Now, what I do not accept, or it's not that I don't accept, it's more I don't agree with, it's one, the aggressive marketing. It's too much. I mean, it's really, it seems that are being shoved by force, like all type of Middle Eastern brands out there, you know. They are everywhere, literally everywhere, and sometimes gets annoying. And another thing is that, oh, the clone brand, this fragrance, like the copy, is much better than the original. I mean, it can be sometimes. For example, the case that the example I gave you, Rasasi La Yuko Poem, is currently better than Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford. Is that always the case though? Is it though? I don't think so. I mean, for me, it's very hard to justify how the clone is much better smell-wise than the original. You get my point. For me, it's very hard to justify that. However, in terms of price, you can't deny. I mean, it's the much better price per mil, smell-wise. Of course, it's much better if we are taking price as well into consideration. It's much better to go with the clone than to spend 300 euros or more in a niche fragrance that smells pretty much the same, especially to the regular noses, to the regular people that are not into perfumes as we are. But again, for me, I just prefer to go with the real deal. That's it. In the end, that's where I'm at currently. But again, not trashing clone brands, because they definitely do fill a gap. And I just hope that niche brands start to look at it and say, like, well, if we have a niche brand, if we have a Middle Eastern brand that can more or less recreate our scents for just 30 euros and we are charging 300, maybe it's time for us to change something. This, for me, in the end, is my ultimate hope. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what's your thoughts on, first, Khadlaj Perfumes, if you ever tried any fragrance from Khadlaj, and also what are your thoughts on this hot and controversial topic on clone brands inspired by brands. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you find value in this video, hit the like button, subscribe, check out all the other fragrance content that I have available, and I'll always leave in the description box down below. And see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Ciao.